competition. Competition can be pretty healthy at times. You have companies, people trying to innovate to basically come out on the top of the hill of whatever competitors they're trying to face. However, slander and unhealthy competition, people trying to damage others' reputation from things that are just simply not true, and making hit pieces, specifically in the media space that we've seen recently, is just not the greatest form of competition. In fact, it's unhealthy competition, and it's really ruining the space and making some people seem more desperate than others. What's going on, everybody? Cryptix here, and today, man, I wanted to talk about basically the hit pieces that have been drawn and sent out to YouTubers that are doing a good job of keeping an audience, growing their audience, and essentially making great high quality videos. Now, before we even jump into this video, guys, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe if you are new to the channel. Now let's jump into it. So, long story short, this whole video is about the media targeting YouTubers and the YouTube platform because they're worried that their jobs, the audience that they once had, and essentially the quality content that they used to usually bring out is falling apart because YouTubers, people that do this for fun and for a hobby, are outlasting and actually beating people at Vox, people at CNET, and people at New York Times. And these are the three companies that we're going to be talking about because they all have done something in the past couple of weeks or so to damage a YouTuber's career, to damage multiple YouTubers' careers, and to maybe even damage the platform as a whole. Okay, so first off, we got to talk about Vox. I already talked about this in one of my previous videos. I actually made 2 videos about it because at first YouTube did one thing and then they changed their opinion and their decision and they actually did a whole nother drastic thing that made it 10 times worse. But let me just give you a quick brief summary. Basically, there's this guy named Steven Crowder. He's a radical rightist, and I wouldn't even say he's actually radical. I would just say he's very far on the right. And he makes a lot of edgy jokes, edgy humor, and comments and videos. So one of the videos, he talked about Vox and this guy named Carlos Maza, and he called him a gay, lispy, queer. Actually, no, he just called him a lispy Mexican Latino or lispy Mexican queer. That's the worst that actually came out of his mouth. He didn't even call him gay. So he called him queer, which is, in my opinion, one of the legal terms that you can use because I can call someone lesbian, I can call someone gay, I can call someone transsexual. What's the problem with calling someone queer, right? But I get it in the context that it was used. It was kind of pulling on the whole tug of war thing with YouTube's guidelines and all that stuff. So basically, Carlos made a whole Twitter thread of basically ranting about Steven Crowder and saying, you know, this is not good. YouTube, you need to do something. My feelings are hurt, blah, 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 blah. So at first, YouTube decided they were not going to do anything to Crowder, but then there was a lot of backlash from that, from the LGBTQ community, the left people, and essentially YouTube decided to demonetize Crowder, not delete his channel, but demonetize him. Now, if you know anything about potentially being a YouTuber, doing YouTube as a career, you would know that getting your platform demonetized is going to take a huge hit on your revenue for the whole year. In fact, some people consider this a salary, so let's just call it a salary. People get major hits when they get demonetized and they lose a good portion of their salary. I would venture to say maybe even 60 to 70% in certain case scenarios, unless you have sponsorships. So Crowder, I don't know if he's doing okay. I would assume that he's doing all right for himself, even with being demonetized. But, you know, that's just a total slap in the face to freedom of speech. And, you know, YouTube is constantly trying to update their guidelines to make them user-friendly, to make them audience-friendly, to basically make it PG. But this, once again, is hindering freedom of speech. So there was that whole debacle there. But the end game argument for this whole case is that Vox and people like Carlos Maza want to suppress people's voices and suppress people that have different opinions from them. Because if Crowder was agreeing with them and called him a queer for the fun of it, because that's essentially what he did regardless, Carlos wouldn't have a problem. It's because, you know, Steven Crowder had a different opinion of whatever they were talking about when Carlos was bickering with him. So essentially, I would venture to guess that Vox is just worried of competitors and competition of people that just have different opinions. Now, that's not the only thing that happened in the past couple of weeks or so. In fact, CNET, one of the other companies that is basically an online, I would call it a blog post. It's not even considered news anymore. Basically, some person made a hit piece, a giant hit piece on multiple YouTubers in the gaming sphere. Now, I just want to kind of give you guys some background information. I'm pretty sure everybody that is watching my video right now can safely agree and assume that video games are in the worst spot right now ever. I think the gaming industry is totally corrupt with monetization, loot boxes, pay-to-win models and mechanics. It's gotten to a point where I feel like I'm playing at a casino when I'm playing certain video games. It's so totally one-sided and skewed to make you whip out your wallet to pay money to have the upper hand online. And that's not what video games should be or even used to be. So with that out of the way, a lot of gaming YouTubers are pissed, and they are. They rightfully are. If you look at any gaming YouTuber, there's people out there that are going against monetization, loot boxes, pay-to-win mechanics, and they're calling out these AAA developers for that. In fact, these AAA developers are making beta games. They're not even in fully developed AAA title video game mode. They're just simply half-made, don't have all of the content, and then the updates and patches that they make throughout the year, make the game totally, I would say 100% full, right? They have the content, they have the patches that get rid of the bugs, but by that point, the next iteration in some of these franchises in these video games comes out, and then the totally updated game kind of feels obsolete in a sense. So that's essentially what the cycle has been in the video game industry, and these YouTubers are mad about it. So CNET, being a competitor to these gaming YouTubers, basically just wrote this ridiculous article about how all gaming YouTubers are pissed and angry, and they shouldn't be. That's outrageous, blah, blah, blah. The Quartering was mentioned, Clean Prince Gaming was mentioned, Jim Sterling, Upper Echelon Gamers, so many video game YouTubers, Legacy Killer HD. I'm sure you've watched at least one or two of these guys in the past, and they make really high quality videos. They make scripts for their videos so they can articulate words. They do a lot of things behind the scenes that make their videos very high quality, and I respect them for calling out these AAA developers. This is something that I do to NBA 2K on my main channel, so I'm sure a lot of you have actually came from there, but if you haven't, just know that my main channel, I've been calling out them as well. Thank God I didn't have the hit piece on me, or else I'd have to make a video on there. But it's not right to basically slander and damage other YouTubers' reputation just because these YouTubers have good points, know what they're talking about because they're in the gaming sphere, and they're calling out the big guys, the big companies. But the one thing that makes this whole scenario so much more personal than you guys believe is that CNET actually called and emailed and contacted sponsors of these YouTubers and said, hey, they're not doing the right things. They're being, they're alienating people. They're saying outlandish statements that are totally not true. These people at CNET are just trying to twist the words of some of these YouTubers, but they slandered their reputation. And some of these sponsors and advertisers for The Quartering, for Jim Sterling, for Legacy Killer HD, for Upper Echelon Gamers, they essentially pulled out. These sponsors and advertisers that were supporting these creators pulled out because one company, one media company that is a competitor to these YouTubers named CNET said so and emailed these sponsors and advertisers. This has gotten to a point where it's so much more deeper and personal than just a simple, oh, you have a different opinion or you're a competitor of me. This is where they're trying to damage their revenue, trying to hinder what they have to say, and their reputation as a whole as a YouTuber. And as multiple YouTubers, this has gotten so out of hand from a media space and a media perspective. Now, the last person I do want to hit on, I'm not going to talk about it too much because I have my own opinion about the guy, but the New York Times basically said all news outlets on YouTube are extremists, just like this guy named Philly D. Philip DeFranco. I'm sure most of you know who Philip DeFranco is, and he's actually leaned on both sides in certain scenarios. He's in fact even sided with Trump in some of his videos just because of some of the things that the media has done. So the New York Times decided, hey, let's just do a hit piece on him, call him an extremist, and hopefully he loses some subscribers. And in fact, I don't think this damaged Philly D's reputation at all. I think the people that still read the New York Times and articles, just, do your own thing, man. Read your own articles on the bus or on the train. I don't care what you do. You're not even a competitor, a direct competitor to Philip DeFranco, in my opinion. I think the audience that watches Philly D probably does not read those articles. But regardless, the media still tried to attack a YouTuber. So that's gotten out of hand, guys. This whole thing is just way more worse than it seems from, I guess, the surface. As a YouTuber, I'm concerned because if YouTube keeps bending the knee to certain outlets and to certain companies, such as Vox, this is not going to be a freedom of speech platform anymore. It's not going to be, oh, you can post pretty much anything and, have people agree with you. It's gotten to where you basically have a very narrow space and such a large margin of error to get demonetized that people are afraid to even make YouTube videos about certain topics anymore. And now with the media trying to literally damage careers of YouTubers and to damage the platform, I don't see YouTube lasting this much longer if they continue to follow the same pattern of just bending over to some of these companies, bending over to certain people that have their feelings hurt. It's not going to be the same platform, and hopefully a competitor does come out of all of this, because if a competitor does come out and, gives people the right and freedom to post a lot more things, which is basically what YouTube used to be, I think YouTube's in a lot of trouble, and I think YouTubers are, in fact, in a lot of trouble as well, because, let's be honest, transferring your audience to another platform can be pretty worrisome, troublesome, and can be an overall headache. But I still think a competitor that, comes out of this could definitely make YouTube worried and definitely can make YouTube shake in their boots, so to speak. So I hope you all did enjoy this video. Don't forget to drop a like, guys. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. And most of all, I want to know your comments down below. Do you believe that YouTubers are in trouble? Do you believe the media is going to overcome this? Do you think the media is going to continue to slander YouTubers and their reputation just because they're worried that they're losing their audience? I would love to see what you guys have to say down below. I'm Cryptix, and I didn't get a hit piece article about me because I am such a small YouTuber, and I'm signing off.